Hey guys, Electro here. Before this video begins, I would just like to say that I'm going to be doing a lot of theories soon. So, I might not be able to get to your comments in videos for a while, except for in the scheduled um, fan theory reviews. So, yeah, sorry guys. Um, but if you guys have your comments, now's the time to put them. If it has, especially if it's something to do with either um, the Greek or the Native American miraculouses. Uh, the next video is going to be involving them, so just be aware of that. But anyways, guys, let's get into the video. So, what are we talking about today? Well, quite simply, the miraculous team. For those of you guys who don't know, this miraculous team was not the original plan for what we were going to have. Like, now we have Rena Rouge, um, Queen Bee, and Carapace, as well as and now we have Adrian as Cat Noir instead of Felix. Now, almost everyone knows about the whole Felix thing. He's well known. A lot of people will refer to the old Marinette as Bridget because it's just makes more sense to have her have a different name. But she was originally going to be Marinette Dupenchang. It's just that was what the fans decided to call her because they wanted to change the affiliation. But there was also another group of main characters, specifically the Quantic Kids. Now, these characters are the actual origins to the quantum universe, which is the actual name for Marinette and Adrian's universe. Now, this is the picture that we will often look at when we're talking about them. But this is actually a more recent version of the kids. We can obviously see Marinette off to the right. We can see Felix off to the left. But then there's these three kids, which are Melody, Kid Mime, and another character. But the problem is that these characters are not the most well known. You see, besides, of course, Marinette and Felix, we had these 5 other kids that we have only seen one of them since the change to the 3D version. So it's a real question of, are we ever going to see these characters again? And I am definitely thinking that it's a high possibility. We may see them mostly in the comics, but I think that it's actually very likely that we will start to see these characters in the Miraculous show itself. So we're going to talk about who these kids are and if they could show up again eventually. So the first one is Melody, who her original design was that she was going to be a female superhero who wields a flute. Now, this character, I am inclined to think that that Melody is the same Melody from the future Zagtoons movie Melody, which is, instead of being a French show, it's going to be a American movie. Basically, it takes place in America instead of taking place in France, like this. And she is going to be dealing with the musical notes, which I am inclined to believe that these are the muses. I want to mostly talk about this because the fact that the muses in Greek culture were beings that would be highly related to the arts. So the fact that the muses in Miraculous and the Miraculous universe, or the quantum universe, them being the music notes in Melody actually makes a lot of sense. They don't necessarily have to be the only muses, but it would actually make sense for this to be the case. Now, we know that muses are a thing in the Miraculous Universe thanks to the comic, and I'm inclined to believe that even though Melody is actually spelled with an IE for the comic, and she used a flute, or for the original Miraculous Plan, she used a flute and her name was spelled with an IE, I think it's the same character, even though in the movie she's going to be using a guitar and her name is spelled with Y. So I think that it's definitely an interesting thing that we should definitely just keep in mind. And since this is like the only character that's actually been confirmed so far, I think it's definitely something to be hopeful for. The next character is Mercury, who apparently was going to have super speed. Or it looks like he was going to have super speed. He was a blue character with lightning around him and white hair. However, there hasn't really been much information about him, and I really do see him showing up eventually, but I could more likely see him showing up as, like, maybe a friend of a friend. Maybe he shows up in Felix for a brief time, helps them out, and he's like a hero and yeah, something simple. The next, but I don't know, we'll see what happens. I could definitely see him showing up, but I think it's going to be a little bit less than we would want to see. There was also another show that was planned for Zagtoons, but I'm not exactly certain what exactly it was going to be. It was like something in London, which I believe that there are some characters in there that would make sense and look similar to Mercury, so that's also a possibility. That he could show up in there, but we'll see what happens. The thing is that the problem with Zag right now is that they can't actually do as much as they want, because right now all their attention is focused on Miraculous, because they have no other options. They have a little bit of work going into these other shows and stuff, but most of them aren't getting as much love as Miraculous. And I think that is a problem, but we could see in the future, maybe they'll work with some other companies, maybe they'll work with Disney to get it going. Maybe they can help them get more animators or something. The last character that we need to talk about is, for the original team, is Sparrow, which we have actually seen thanks to the comic. Sparrow in the comic is Night Owl's sidekick. We don't know much about him, but it's definitely something that we can definitely say he's in the universe at least. Do I think that we'll see him again? Yes, because of the fact that we do know that we'll be going to New York before too long. I could imagine us seeing him in that, as well as possibly seeing him in things like Ghost Force and the other shows that are going to be taking place in New York. Maybe even Melody. Maybe in Melody we'll see Sparrow as in his civilian form or something. So that's definitely something to be aware of. The next character is Garroche, who unfortunately I don't believe is going to appear again. Gavroche is this character, which, if you look at him, you can see how similar he is to Nino, but the problem is that it gets worse. This was his design for the superhero, and below him is the mime, the kid mime, but we'll talk about him in a little bit. The problem is that he does look like Nino, and while I would love to see the character show up again and be like this, and use a different power, which what it looked like in that clip was that he was going to have a different power. Um, he's so he looks so similar to Nino that I feel like he was just replaced by Nino. But I do feel like since we are getting Felix before long, it is actually a possibility that we will see him show up. However, we won't be seeing him in the same form. It's possible that we will see him using a miraculous, probably a Greek one, maybe Cancer. And that would actually be kind of cool, but I'm not 100% certain if that's going to be the case. So, unfortunately, I'm just going to have to say right now he's kind of a unknown cause. But the last character is Kid Mime, and I am actually kind of really excited for this because if he does show up, he's actually more likely to be a brother of Milen's. Now, we don't know anything about Milen's family except for, obviously, her dad and her. But because of the fact that Kid Mime is a mime and he has powers, I'm inclined to think that he somehow, maybe he gets akumatized or something like that. Maybe he gets some weird power somehow, and suddenly he obtains the powers that his father had when he got akumatized, and now he becomes a major superhero, becoming Kid Mime and maybe joining the team. Now, there's a reason why I want to say that these characters could show up, and it's mostly because of the fact that in Time Tagger, she said, Bakerix says, or not Bakerix, Bunnix says that Ladybug is the leader of a very large hero team, and she mentions a lot of villains that they take down. Now, we all assume that she just means that she's talking about the 19 Miraculouses. All 19 Miraculouses finally join her. Maybe not, now obviously not the Butterfly, because eventually there's going to be a new Hawkmoth, but maybe the Peacock will join in, or something like that. One fan originally thought that the Peacock was going to go to the Kid Mime. Or, yeah, that. So, if that's the case, I would love to see that happen. Unfortunately, I'm not 100% certain if that's going to happen. Seeing as Kid Mime's powers were originally going to be a actual he was going to have the power. It looks like he was going to have the powers of the mime. I think that it's definitely something that to look forward to. Maybe someone gets akumatized in the future and gains the powers, and the powers are just never taken away. Maybe they accept Hawkmoth's powers, but it's during the time of them defeating Hawkmoth. Because the thing about them defeating Hawkmoth is that Hawkmoth can detransform, and his akumatized victim will stay transformed. The only exception to this rule is when he is Scarlet Moth. In Scarlet Moth, when he uses his powers, he absorbs the powers that he's actually using the powers through his staff, which has been changed. When he loses his powers in that state, it eliminates all of the other akumatized victims. So I'm willing to say that it's very likely that some characters are going to get akumatized in the future, and because of the fact that they're no longer being controlled by Hawkmoth, and maybe they're not as upset anymore, they might actually be willing to join the good guys and be able to control their akumatization states, being able to switch between and back and forth between whether or not they're akumatized or not. Definitely something to be aware of, and definitely something that I would love to see with some of these characters. Like, I don't know, maybe some of these characters will be a lot of fun. I also want to say that I'm inclined to think that Felix is actually a high schooler. For those of you guys who don't know, the Miraculous cast is actually a little bit younger. They are like some of them are 13, some of them are 14, some are right around there. And it's possible that they will all be going to high school soon. So if Felix is a high schooler, and we also know that Luca is as well, then we can at least say that maybe these characters could be high school students that we'll be seeing in future seasons, that maybe they'll get their own Miraculouses. Maybe they'll have the Miraculouses from the American Miraculouses or the Greek Miraculouses, which I will be making videos for, like I said before. So if you guys have any theories about these characters, then please let me know. I won't be able to get to all of them until after I've recorded every single one of these videos that are coming up, but I'm intrigued to see what you guys say about these characters. And if you guys are excited to see the Quantic Kids show up again in Miraculous, or maybe some other series, and see how it all connects into one universe. But anyways, guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Again, comment your thoughts down in the comments below. Subscribe and ring that notification bell, because I can't wait to see what happens in the future. But anyways, guys, I have been Electro Ninja, and I will see you guys next time. Badon!